Hey there, I'm meteorologist Erin Thomas from the WMC First Alert Weather Center, and this is the breakdown. Normally, rain is a good thing, but it's actually lethal for one particular desert, and let's explain why that is. So in northern Chile, that is home to the driest desert on Earth. It is the Atacama Desert. So dry, in fact, that the researchers there at NASA, they study the Atacama Desert to get an idea of what we might find on Mars. Now, NASA uses the Atacama landscape to test drive their rovers and other equipment for Mars missions. Now, there's geological evidence that suggests the desert has been semi-arid or arid for 15 million years, and no rain had been recorded there for 500 years up until an unusual rain event that occurred in 2015. And once it rained, again, scientists thought that the desert would bloom with life, but in fact, the opposite occurred. This is from Alberto Ferrin. He is a Cornell University researcher and scientist, and this is what he had to say. When the rains came to the Atacama, we were hoping for majestic blooms and the desert springing to life. Instead, we found that the rain and the hyper-arid core of the Atacama Desert actually caused a massive extinction of the most indigenous microbial species. So microbial, very small, microscopic. Now, the hyper-dry soils before the rains were inhabited by 16 ancient microbe species, but after the rains, there were only 2 to 4 microbe species that survived the lagoons, and the extinction event was massive. So these microbes, they had adapted to the arid conditions over millions of years. They were acclimated to these high temperatures, these dry conditions, the osmosis stress, the high UV radiation. They were used to that, so they could not cope to the sudden influx of abundant water. Now, they didn't go quietly, according to researchers. In fact, up to 87% of the bacteria died after having burst like balloons, is what the scientists say. They were sponging up all that water in their newly aquatic environment that their cell membranes just could not handle that moisture. So all of this might have significance for what we could find on Mars as far as life is concerned. More than 3.5 billion years ago, geological evidence shows that water was abundant on Mars, and it has dried out. Now, they have had some massive flooding events since then. However, if the Martian microbes are anything like the Atacama microbes, then these washouts might have finished off those microbes after a certain point. So in other words, Mars might have been too wet to sustain the life that evolved there. However, of course, it still is possible that life could be found. That's it for today's breakdown. You can view others on Apple, Roku TV, and on Amazon Fire.